Hey, I'm Shane, and in this video I'm going to do a pretty thorough overview of the exotic auto rifle called Suros Regime in Destiny. In this video I'll go over the stats of the weapon, look at the skill tree and compare the different options that you have, and I'll briefly talk about how I use the gun. First of all, the gun's acquired as a random drop, or it's sold by Zur, and he's done so a couple times. You'll see this gun in Crucible often, and during the Iron Banner event especially, because of the high damage this weapon deals. And if Zur is selling it, I definitely tell you now you should buy it if you like fighting in the PvP arena. The gun's look is quite unique, even compared to other exotics. It has curved edges and quite colorful paint on it, and it has a large blue LED display that shows your ammo count. The gun's sound also is unique because it has two different types of sounds that you can play, one when you're firing from the hip and another sound set for when you're aiming down sights. There's one type of sight for this gun, as it is with most of the exotics, and I'm not personally a huge fan of this one, but it's pretty easy to track enemies with, but it takes up a large portion of your screen. This gun deals no elemental damage, only kinetic, and has 3 different recoils you can choose from. I'll compare those later in the video, and at the moment I'll just continue going on to the next perk. The next option is focus fire. This allows you to have 2 different rates of fire with the gun. So if you're aiming down sights, the gun will slow down its rate of fire and cause increased damage, but when you're firing from the hip, it will fire faster and have the normal amount of damage. There's 3 more upgrades you can choose from after this. There's the high caliber rounds, which allows your gun to have higher impact, but at the cost of weapon stability. The next is hammer forged, which makes your gun have better range and accuracy. Then the final upgrade is lightweight, which increases your movement speed. Of these, I typically go with hammer forged because the gun doesn't have incredible range, so having a higher range is much more beneficial for me because I can kill people from farther away. But it depends on your playstyle. If you like being up close and personal, you might be better with the higher impact or the higher movement speed if you have a slow character. The next and final upgrade to the weapon is its namesake, Suros Regime, which gives the gun a damage buff. For the bottom half of its magazine, it also gives you health regeneration when you hit enemies. This has been nerfed a couple of times by Bungie, but it still has quite the effect. If you're able to chain kills in a row within PvP in the same clip, you can stay fighting longer and also deal more damage, which gives you a pretty nice advantage if you're going 2-on-1. The full potential of this isn't always reached though, because if you want to have a full clip going into a fight, which I feel is more beneficial, you don't get the bonus damage. But if you are in a fight and you have like 12 shots left in the clip, it might be better off not to reload and take someone out with those 12 shots and get health back as well at the same time. I'll now go over the 3 different recoils side by side. It's hard to see the difference when you're firing with an automatic weapon, but I'll tell you what they do. First of all, field choke is a default, which is the least stable option and gives you the most possible range with relatively high stability, but it does give a little reduced stability. Linear compensator, which causes a decrease in the weapon's range and impact while slightly raising stability, which makes it generally drift upwards and then instead of going upwards to the right. Smart drift control dramatically increases the stability of the weapon, but also lowers the range, which makes the gun easier to handle, but makes it very hard to get kills at range, which is kind of a trade-off. Of these 3, I recommend getting linear compensator because the Suros is best used while aiming down sights and has a slow rate of fire when you're aiming down sights as well. So it makes stability less of an issue, so I don't recommend upgrading that, and having the increased range and impact would be more beneficial. The weapon has a 33 shot clip, which is decent for its rate of fire, and the reload is fairly average with the weapon. Neither of these stats are too fancy, but they're useful for the gun and you won't know it's an issue with it. Overall, the Suros I find is best suited for PvP. It's very useful in strikes and raids as well still, but you'll have to sacrifice using another exotic for it, and if you have a Galahorn or Icebreaker, I recommend using those instead. And the health bonus and damage doesn't have that much of an effect when you're fighting other enemies. I can't really say much against it though, but it's also just your choice. Online, however, this gun is quite powerful. Its ability to switch between being a mid-range and short-range weapon makes it very versatile and has a solid damage and stability, so makes it very easy to use this gun. Its weakness also comes in its rate of fire, which is pretty slow when you're aiming down sights. Lots of people don't like this gun because of that. If you find yourself dying in close quarter fights because you don't have every shot landing on target, it really is frustrating. Overall, I do like this gun, and I will use it occasionally as my primary in PvP, though it's not my favorite primary to go to. Thanks for watching this video, and if you have any questions, just drop a comment below and I'll be happy to answer them, as best I can, that is. Please consider subscribing and check out my other videos if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.